Hello and how's it going, everyone? It is Skullzi here with the latest Bethesda news, rumors, and speculation. And again, my webcam is currently having issues, so no video, no face cam in today's video. It turns out the secret to Dio's stand is the ability to destroy my webcam. But don't worry, I'm trying to figure out the situation, and I will be getting a new webcam soon. But let's move away from the webcam talk. I do have a few interesting things to talk about in today's video, but of course I had to wait for my lawn mowing obsessed neighbors to finish mowing their little like 20-foot by 20-foot lawn that took 4 hours to mow. I don't know if they just walk around with their mower and masturbate or something. I'm not sure exactly what they do, but I'm going to take advantage of the short period of quiet time from the besieged of lawnmower monstrosities to bring you this information. And I do have a handful of interesting things to talk to you about today. We got some QUAKE reboot potentiality to break down in today's video. We have some interesting Starfield trailer discoveries to talk about that further prove that it is actually in-game footage, not just in-engine footage. This is what the game will look like when we play it, glitches and all. And on top of that, some very interesting community discoveries as well regarding Starfield. So let's not waste any more time and get to today's information before I ramble on about how much I hate my freaking neighbors. So we're gonna start today's venture right here over on the Starfield subreddit, which thankfully has gotten a lot less toxic over the years. This subreddit used to be so bad that anytime anyone would post something here, they would basically get thumbed down unless it was some kind of strange 4chan leak that was obviously fake. Thankfully, the Starfield subreddit now is more intelligent, and this post in particular definitely caught my eye by Axion Energy employee, and they say, I've compiled a small and probably incomplete list of visual oddities and glitches in the trailer to prove that it was definitely in-game. And for those of you that are still on the fence, I mean, it literally says it's in-engine footage right at the beginning of the freaking trailer, and that means in-game footage. There's people that are I don't know what's going on with the gaming community. It seems like anytime anyone says anything, there has to be someone to try to debate it or argue about it, and 99% of the time they have no idea what the heck they're trying to talk about. In-engine footage, in this circumstance, means in-game footage. I don't want to see any 10-paragraph things down in the comments. You're wrong. Just leave it alone. But they continue on in their post by saying you can see some pretty obvious things in the trailer that definitely links it to being in-game footage. Like, for instance, it has a very Fallout 4-esque looking metal texture around the window when the astronaut is climbing the ladder, and on top of that, you can clearly see a bunch of rocks pop in near the bottom of the screen during the trailer as well, and there's a couple oddities with computer console reflections in the living quarters and some strange, like, jittering artifacts and stuff. Basically, what Axion Energy employee did is they were hired by Axion Energy to look over the Starfield trailer for inconsistencies, and they're able to find a small handful of the kind of things we would expect from a Bethesda Game Studios game, just the little visual glitches like that. And I do want to say this real quick, it's not just a Bethesda Game Studios game that has stuff like this. Basically, anytime a huge game is made, you're gonna see oddities like this. There's not any gigantic game in the entire gaming industry that doesn't have issues kind of like this, including Red Dead Redemption 2. So, yeah, but basically, the TL doctor of this Axion Energy employee post over on the Starfield subreddit is, there's a handful of visual glitches in the Starfield trailer that further prove that it's in-engine footage. It's in the same capacity of what we will see and experience when we're playing the game. It's not a cinematic like thing of them flying the camera in no-clip mode around and just recording stuff. Even if they were doing that, it's still in-game footage. I don't know why people think in-engine footage is some separate capacity from in-game footage. You do realize the game runs in the game engine, right? But let's move on to the next thing I want to talk about in today's video. We're going to get back to Starfield in a second, but this is a post from Gamatsu or something over on Twitter, and they say that there is a new ZeniMax game published in Australia by id Software, and it is called Project 2021B. And I have a theory on what this is, but before I tell you my theory, I do want to reiterate a discovery I made a couple years ago, or I guess a year ago. Man, time flies during the pandemic times, but either way, id Software has 2 locations, one in Germany, who is currently working on a major engine overhaul. Now, I don't know if they're making an entire new engine, or if they're just upgrading the engine that Doom Eternal ran on for further things, because even Todd Howard said they made Creation Engine 2 in order to make Starfield, but even Creation Engine 2 will need further upgrades for the Elder Scrolls 6, so you can still upgrade an engine and it will still be basically the same engine, unless you do a major overhaul, and I don't know which one it is for its software in Germany. I think that it's mostly it's not a new engine, but it's a large overhaul of the Doom Eternal engine, especially now that they finally got ray tracing and stuff added to Doom Eternal. But what I think this Project 2021B game actually is a QUAKE reboot. And yes, there's QUAKE champions and stuff. QUAKE has a huge multiplayer following and community and fan base, but I think this new QUAKE game will not only expand upon the awesomeness of QUAKE multiplayer, but will bring back the epicness of the QUAKE single player as well, because QUAKE single player was amazing. It was its own unique vibe and identity. Yes, it was made by id Software and John Romero and John Carmack and friends. There was a lot of Johns back at id Software back in the day, but nonetheless, even though QUAKE was made by the same OG developers of Doom, it still stood as its own identity, its own game, and it was a great game. So I would love for QUAKE to get some single-player reboot love, and I think that's what this Project 2021B is. I don't really talk about what my sources say anymore, because even though my sources told me that Starfield would come out in 2022, like a month before Jason Schreier posted his thing, and you can physically look it up on my Twitter, I said this a month before anyone else said it, people still somehow think that I'm trying to clout chase Jason Schreier for some reason. I don't know if I guess they think I could fucking travel in time and read the future or something and post stuff a month ahead of time. But either way, I try not to talk about my inside source statements anymore unless they're super interesting, just because of the drama they usually entail. But I think that this is a QUAKE reboot based on things that I have heard. Now, let's move on to the next thing I want to talk about, which is that the Starfield trailer now has a lot more views, or just more views in general. I guess it's not a lot more views, but it definitely has more views than the Elder Scrolls 6 announcement trailer. And for the longest time, the Elder Scrolls 6 trailer was just kicking the butt all over the place of the Starfield trailer view count. But now it seems like people are getting more aware of Starfield now that Bethesda is finally talking about the game. But one thing that grinds my gears is that the best stuff about Starfield that was shown this year, which is the concept art, barely anyone has seen. The trailer that shows some of the greatest information regarding Starfield from an official Bethesda capacity is only sitting at like 200,000 views at the time that I last checked. So yes, this Starfield trailer's got a lot of views, but the majority of people only know about that and not the other stuff from this smaller trailer with concept art here, so that makes me wonder if I should do yet another video on this. I don't know. I know my channel is only like 20,000 subscribers because YouTube doesn't want to push my content at all, because I don't give the algorithm a hand job or something, but nonetheless, the Starfield trailer now has more views than the Elder Scrolls 6 trailer, so yeah. Also, real quick, Mahid Alamari created something very interesting. They recreated the Crimson Fleet Jolly Roger logo as shown and described in the Into the Starfield The Journey Begins video, which was the video I literally was just talking about. And yes, this was posted on a Starfield subreddit, but I felt like this was interesting enough to share with you all, and this very well could be a faction logo of space pirates that we find and combat with, or maybe even join in the Starfield. Next up, we got a couple Oda discoveries. Oda is like another Timur222 Borograd, whatever he goes by over on Twitter, but Oda discovers a bunch of stuff. I think Oda has like an entire command bunker or something where he just goes over like multiple different screens breaking down Starfield information. It's like he just plugs himself into the Matrix and enters literally Starfield trailers to find the stuff out. But he figured out a little bit more information about the Constellation logo, and I'll go ahead and post his thing down in the description below. But basically, the TL Doctor of this is that the red and orange and yellow in the thing is not a planet. It's in fact 3 different suns. Alpha Centauri A is the biggest one, the yellow one. Alpha Centauri B is the middle one, the orange one, and Alpha Centauri is the red dwarf. He can guarantee us 100% that this is not just some nutcase theory, but it is actually a fact. And we do know Alpha Centauri is in the game because of that same Into the Starfield Journey video I just talked about, because it literally says Alpha Centauri as Emil Payuro here is typing up things. I'm pretty sure that's Emil there. But yeah, Alpha Centauri is definitely going to be in the game, and if Oda is correct about the Constellation logo literally having Alpha Centauri stars in it, then I think that Alpha Centauri might actually be one of the main locations, if not the setting of Starfield. And then one last Oda discovery, but before I get to that, I gotta mention that Bethesda did change their Twitter and Discord icon to a Starfield icon, so I mean, you already know that that's having people lose their mind. Imagine if they changed the icon to this like a year from now before E3, people would like go nuts over thinking something was coming, but Oda actually looked into this too and discovered that these are gravitational waves, and he thinks it has something to do with either quantum theory or string theory or something like that. But basically gravitons, gravitational wave detection, and loop quantum gravity sort of map out space itself and possibly use it for highly advanced warp drives or some other sort of technology based around gravitons or gravity in the future. So the TL Doctor of Oda digging deep again as he thinks that gravitational waves and stuff like that will be a feature in Starfield and might just have something to do with the space travel and warp drive stuff and things and stuff and things like that and stuff and things. But that basically finishes up everything I want to talk about in today's video. Like I said, a lot of speculation time again. It seems like even though we have more official confirmed Starfield information and assets and trailers and stuff to break down, people are still going to be digging deep in the speculation mode. But I mean, Oda is onto something here. I think he's definitely correct about most of what he's saying, and Todd Howard does say they give some pretty huge hints in their trailers, in their interviews, just in general about what their future games will entail. And one other thing I just thought about is they show real-life books in the Starfield trailer with real-life authors, so I wonder if Starfield is literally set in our exact universe, meaning people who did exist historically in the past technically existed in the Starfield universe also. I mean, they just could have put these books in there for a different reason, but nonetheless, that's something I noticed, and that finishes up everything that I do want to talk about in today's video. As always, I am working on fixing my camera situation, so stand by and you will see my strangely pale vampire face again, but nonetheless, that finishes up everything I want to talk about in today's video. As always, if you're hyped for Starfield, and if you enjoy Bethesda and the content, just in general, be sure to give a video a thumbs up, share it, and subscribe so you don't miss the latest news. And as always, huge shout out, much appreciation to everyone that has supported the channel. I will be doing a future video shout out where I give a shout out to every single person who has ever supported the channel. Like I said, that list will be added to every single one of my videos from this point forward, starting this weekend. So if you do want to get a permanent future video shout out and you haven't supported the channel before, you can support the channel now to get added to that list. If you have supported the channel before, I will add you to the list. You don't need to support the channel. Again, I'm not greedy McGreedy pants like that. If you want to get a future video shout out, you can support the channel over on Ko-fi, Patreon, or here on YouTube as an exclusive channel member. Links for all this and more are down in the description below, and as always, thank you for watching. Be sure to tune in next time, when as always, thank you for watching.
It just works.